And a pleasant good afternoon. You're looking live at the John J. Lee Amphitheater on the campus of Yale University for this NCAA Women's College Gymnastics meet between the Yale Bulldogs and the Penn Quakers. Alongside Allison Gaskins, I'm J.J. Duke. Allison, this is the home opener for Yale. They're coming off of a 2018 campaign that was memorable. They won the ECAC championship for the second straight year. They won their first Ivy Classic title since 2005. They set so many records that you can't even count on one sheet, but it's a new year, and it's about building a legacy.
JJ, over 40 records broken in that 2018 season for the Yale Bulldogs. They have built that legacy, and that is what the focus of this season is, especially for the seniors on the team. Their hashtag is Build a Legacy 2019. They want to honor the incredible improvements that they had last season and carry it over into this 2019 year.
Penn did not have a great starting meet for them. They traveled down to College Park, Maryland. They scored a 195.50. They struggled on the bars. They struggled on the floor, which are two events that usually are pretty decent for them. This is a weekend that they have to bounce back.
Also a weekend that they have to have that short-term memory. They need to push their confidence. It's only the second meet of the season for the Quakers as well as for the Bulldogs, so both teams need to find that competition mode, dust off all those cobwebs from the preseason and from the year before. But mainly for the Quakers, they need to build that consistency and learn how to harness all the adrenaline that they have.
Penn will start on the bars. Yale, as the home team, will be starting on the vault, and they'll be led by Anna Jennings. And on the bars for Penn, it's going to be Rose Hoffman. And it will be Rose Hoffman to start on the bars as we're underway here in Yale's home opening meet.
She'll get started with a transition up to high bar, half turn to a Jaeger. Nice height on that Jaeger. You want to catch above the bar. A bail to a handstand down to the low bar. And that'll be a nice bonus. A toe straight up to a uphill. And she'll get ready for the double back dismount. Nice stick, small step forward with that right foot. Overall solid routine, and that's what you want to see from your lead off on every single rotation. You want to see a hit routine.
And it's interesting because Hoffman did not compete on the bars last weekend, so head coach John Ciraldi trying to change things up a little bit, and why not? When you look at the team performance last week, they started out on bars and they scored a 46.95, which is not going to be a mark memorable for them, but they got a stick to start.
And Rose Hoffman also only competed one meet on bars last season. In that meet, she got a 9.7, so she's able to pull that pretty big score on the uneven bars.
So for Yale, it will be Anna Jennings to lead things off.
We'll take a look back at that clear hip to handstand, getting ready for her double back dismount again. The height was good. You want to see that second flip get a little bit higher than the first, so she began to drop down, but a good landing as well. Small step forward. Should be a good score for the Quakers. And here's Anna Jennings. She'll do a tuck full. Nice landing, chest up, small hop back. There will be a small deduction, but you see the celebration. She is very happy with that vault. She was unable to compete last season due to an injury, but here she is back in rotation, and she looks confident.
Last week, Jennings had a 9.4. She was the drop in that rotation on a vault that had Yale go 48.35.
So aggressive, and check out her block. She gets enough height to complete the full rotation. She lands on the soles of her feet. A little bit too much rotation, almost on the heel, so it caused her to take that small step back, but again, a great start on the vault for Yale.
Now, another athlete that did not compete last week for Penn, but getting her first career routine is Libby Garfoot, a freshman from Omaha, Nebraska.
And this is a difficult routine. Here's a clear hip connected to a jinger, going all the way down to a bail to the low bar. She has an ability to get a lot of bonus here in this routine and try to push it to a 10-0 start value. And that's a full in dismount, a little low. You saw she dropped her seat down towards her heels on that landing. You want to land upright with your hips flexed forward. But that was a very difficult routine.
And again, as we look back with this bars team for Penn last week, their high was Allison Frommer, hit a 9.7. They had to count falls at a 9.275 and a 9.325 and a 9.0. So already 2 for 2 here for the Quakers. Is now back over to Yale on the vault. Jade Buford, and Buford is really our athlete to spotlight here for Yale. One of the all-arounds, in fact, the only competitor on the all-around today, and the junior out of Coppell, Texas, really one of the most consistent amongst the entire team.
And that's what you want in your all-around gymnast. You don't necessarily want them to pull the highest score on every single event. You want to have that consistency. You want to count on them to hit, to keep the tone for the team. And Jade Buford, the 2018 ECAC Gymnast of the Year, knows how to do just that. She gets set This will be a front handspring front pike. Looks like she tucked it a bit, so it might be a 9.9 start value instead of a 10. But good height, good block off the table. Small step on that landing, but another solid vault for Yale.
And watch Buford in the warm-ups actually miss on a couple of occasions in practice. So even though she did have to make the little adjustment in air, it's good to see she found it to the floor.
And she has the ability to make that the front handspring front pike where you keep your legs straight the entire length of the second rotation. So here it is again. We'll take a look back. That front pike, see how she tucks at the end. You want to try to keep them a little bit more straighter all the way towards the end landing, but another good vault by Jade.
Caroline Mitchie, the junior from Indianapolis, competed on all 12 of the meets last year, only on the bars, but is a really solid competitor.
Beautiful bail to a handstand down to the low bar. Nice height, good form. You want to see the tight body, and that's what the handstands are. That's what the judges are looking for, is to hit those handstands. Nice same bar release move. And she'll build momentum up again for that dismount. She'll do a double A. She piked on the second rotation down. That'll be a slight deduction, but another hit routine for Penn, which is what they need. They struggled a bit in that first meet of the season on the uneven bars, getting just below a 47 in the 46.95 range.
And this is another athlete, Allison, that fell last week on the bars. As that was Jessica Wang on the vault and putting that one onto the feet as well.
Solid vault there by Jessica Wang. Jessica Wang competing 3 events today, vault, bars, and beam. She wants to be in that floor rotation so badly, but talking to head coach Barbara Tonnery, she said her tumbling is just not where it needs to be yet for floor. But Jessica Wang, a former elite athlete, which means that you compete above the level 10 rankings, and so she has the difficulty to be able to compete all 4 events and to be able to get a 10-0 start value on each.
On the bars for Penn, Allison Frommer had the highest score last week for the Quakers at a 9.7. And Frommer, with this bar team, that's a little bit changed from a year ago where they graduated their anchor on the bars. That would be Kira Levy, needing to get those consistent high marks, but thus far she's done the job. And it helps also when you have the first 3 athletes in front of you hit.
Absolutely. That's a big confidence booster for the Quakers. You also have a little bit of pressure because you know that, you want to be just as good as your teammates. You want to help them out, and you don't want your score to be dropped. But you do know there is maybe a little bit of room for error once everyone else is hitting. But again, you're really zeroed in and you're focused in on the routine that lies ahead for you.
And simultaneous as well to Frommer going. Rebecca Chong is on the vault here.
And that was a Yuchenko half. Starting at a 9.95 start value. Good opened up hips for the landing.
And we're back over to Frommer here.
To a pike Jaeger. Nice same bar release move. The handstand not quite there. Again, it's going to be a pack. We'll work her way back up to the high bar. Kip cast handstand. A full pirouette, and that'll be a bonus connected to a double back. Big step forward. She's going to pull her leg back in. Another solid routine. You like what you're seeing over there on the bars for Penn. And here's a look at that full turn connected to her dismount of a double back. Again, that's the bonus. Try to work your way up to a 10-0 start value.
Charlotte Cooperman placed 4th on the vault last week at a 9.775. She'll be on for Yale. Alyssa Firth will be the anchor for the Bulldogs. And meanwhile, when Penn gets back underway on the bars, it'll be Jordan Menino who will go.
Cooperman's going to be competing a Yuchenko full. That'll be starting at a 9.95 start value, so not quite at a 10. But she has the ability to pull that big score of at least a 9.7 or above.
Cooperman last year at a season best, 9.8, which was 4th best for the entire team involved last year, and a 2-time ECAC Coach's Choice Award winner.
Now she piked down on that ending, but she did get good distance away from the vault table, which is another thing that the judges do take into consideration. Moving back over to the bars, though. Nice free hip down on the low bar, and that was a good connection. She had a Jaeger down to a bail straight into the free hip. Another full turn, another bonus connected to the double back. Now she'll get deduction on the hop back and the step forward there.
So Allison, I think the big one for Penn, they've gotten 5 to the feet, which they don't have to count a fall at this point. They can only just build on their score.
Exactly, and that's what you want, especially I mentioned second meet of the season, to find that consistency in that full pirouette on top of the bar. You want to see the handstand hit at both times, so she was a little short on her handstands, but a solid connection to her double back dismount.
So to anchor for Yale on the vault will be Alyssa Firth, who's sophomore from Bethpage, New York, with a season best of 9.775 and had a top 3 finish on the vault last season. And also for Penn, they'll have Kelly Flavin rounded out on the bars, a junior from Illinois, at a season best last year of 9.775. So she did not compete, Allison, last year, so this is good to see her back on the bars.
Alyssa Firth also will be competing a Yuchenko full, and she's in that anchor position. And that's exactly what you want from your anchor. You want a solid high vault, a good block off the table, nice form in the air. She did have that pike down just slightly at the end, but that should pull a big score. Straddle Jaeger connecting down to a bail, and that will be considered a fall. Just got a little ahead of herself. You have to keep your mind real strong and real tight in all 4 apparatus. Full turn on top of the bar, connected to the double back. Step forward, and that will most likely be the routine that Penn is going to have to drop.
But again, all things considered for John Ciraldi's team, you have to be happier about how they bounce back. That was really one of the keys for this meet, was to kind of negate the wrong and then just build on everything else. It looks like we're going to have an exhibition over for Penn as well. But, you know, just overall, you and I were talking about this meet before it started. You're not going to get anywhere near your top marks for the season. You're just looking to clean up some of the little mistakes from last week and get consistent as we get into the middle portion of the schedule.
Exactly, and the energy that you have during a competition and during a meet is so different than the energy that you practice with. So a lot of it is just about learning how to harness that adrenaline, learning how to transition that into success on your given event. That's so important, and all these young women here are working through that, working through both the mental side and the physical side to keep up the endurance and to keep their mind strong throughout the length of their routines.
So again, for Yale, a strong 6 for 6 on the vault for them. Let's take a look back at the last routine for Penn.
And that's where that mistake occurred, just a little bit ahead of herself. She missed the bail. It would have been a nice connection. That would have gotten her bonus points as well, going from the the straddle Jaeger straight down to the bail. And here's one of the exhibitions, and there's another straddle Jaeger. And this is the routine that they would have wanted to count. It's looking very solid so far. Nice lines. Straddle up handstand. Nice giants. Connected to her double back dismount. Stuck, just about a stuck landing. Small step forward. She almost had it. You could see she was using everything she had to try to keep her footing grounded. What a good exhibition for Penn.
Yeah, overall, though, the Quakers will be happy about their first rotation, as it was their bugaboo last week, scoring a 46.95. Now, last week, a strong vault. They kind of responded back pretty nicely. They'll be heading there, and Yale will be going over to the bars. And for them, as we'll talk about it, they did have a couple of nervy moments there, but overall, you know, as they won the meet last week down at Bridgeport, it was a solid week for them. We'll step aside here as we're through one rotation at the John J. Lee Amphitheater, New Haven, Connecticut. Rotation 2 coming your way next. And welcome back here to New Haven, Connecticut. We're through the first rotation between Yale and Penn. It was a good start for both teams. For Yale on the vault, they had a 48.375, and for Penn, after a very challenging bar set last weekend down in Maryland, a 48.2. They did have a fall, didn't have to count it, but Allison, overall, both teams have to be pretty happy. For Coach
Ciraldi, for Penn, he has to be extremely proud of his athletes to come back, shake off the mistakes they made on bars last meet, and really come out with a strong performance, improving by over 1 point. That was a beautiful full and dismount, landed a little bit low, and then Anna Jennings pulling out a big tuck full vault. Both teams coming out strong in their first rotation. Look at a couple more highlights from that first rotation. Look at bail down the low bar and back over to the vault. Some big vaults for Yale. They had a couple different Yuchenko fulls that were able to pull that big 9.95 start value, the highest start value that most likely we will see today. But yeah, both teams setting the pace very well. Yale even improving from their vault score from their first meet.
Yeah, the leading scorers for both teams, Rebecca Chong had a 9.75 to lead Yale. Their drop was Jessica Wang's 9.525, and for Penn, it was Allison Frommer's 9.775. That was the high, and the drop was Kelly Flavin, who missed on her bar release. We take a look at your keys to this meet, and Allison, for Yale, coming off an impressive first meet where they had the highest ever opening score when they went down to Bridgeport and had a 193.775. It's just building and staying consistent.
That's exactly it. It gives you a little bit of a pressure because now you've set the bar so high for your first meet that you want to maintain and build upon it throughout the length of the season. So for Yale, you just want to, again, hit 24 for 24. That means you don't have to count a fall in your top 5 on each event. Also, like we mentioned, building off that momentum and really rely on Jade Buford to be the star, to be the all-around athlete who is consistent on all 4 events. You can look to her for that consistency and really that belief. And for Penn on the other side, you want to forget the bad. You want to forget those falls that you had to count last meet, but really improve on the good, improve on your strengths, and build that confidence, build the rhythm, especially on floor and bars, which they did so already today on bars, improving again by over a full point. Also, Caroline Moore, a 3-year captain for the Quakers, is a captain who they don't build it or base it on seniority. Instead, they base it on emotions. And they said that Caroline Moore is so positive and that she really brings such a great energy to the team, which is why she is a 3rd-year captain. She was a captain as a sophomore. So again, it's not about the seniority, but it's about building that belief and positivity with your team.
So the teams will trade apparatus, and Yale, they'll start off with Alyssa Firth on bars, and it'll be Nicole Swar-Bayless to go for the vault. As you see the overall scores thus far, Yale, just a slight lead. They improved on their vault from last week by 0.25 of a point, and for Penn, over a 1.25 points. Again, they had to count 2 falls last week, but they hit their 5, and now they'll look to build on it. For Yale, it will be Firth to go.
For Alyssa Firth, she was the leadoff in that first meet at Bridgeport. She got a score of a 9.175. That was the dropped score, but she does have the ability to pull a big score on bars as long as she's swinging it well and consistent, keeps a tight body, and hits her handstands.
But meanwhile, on vault quickly, it's Nicole Swar-Bayless.
That was a front handspring, front tuck. Star value of a 9.9. Unfortunately, fell back on her heels. Under-rotated, wasn't able to release at the right time. And that's what it's all about, knowing when to let go, knowing when to open up. See, the full rotation didn't happen. She landed back on those heels, and there was a gorgeous Tkachev from Firth on bars to get the Bulldogs started out on the right foot, and that's what you want from your leadoff. You want consistency. You just want a solid hit routine. So pull up for a double back dismount, nearly stuck landing, maybe a slight hop. That'll be a tiny deduction. But how about that for Alyssa Firth?
And this is a great bounce back for Alyssa Firth, who had a fall last week, only had a 9.175.
We'll take a look back at some of the highlights of her routine. Look at that body positioning. She's tight. She pulls in so close for a tuck. She gets the full rotation to open up for her landing, and that was a good spot on the landing as well.
Valerie Rube will go here for Penn now. Rube, one of the 2 captains, career best on the vault, a 9.725, competed on vault but all but one of the meets last season. Meanwhile, for Swar-Bayless, a bit of an unfortunate one, who was able to stick her vault last week, but was the lowest score kept at a 9.5.
Important to see how you're able to bounce back after Swar-Bayless had a little bit of a mental error on the fall on the first vault, and you want to shake that off as a team. So this is a big, big vault here. Yuchenko half. Landing not quite as controlled as you want to see it. But she did land on her feet and she was able to get her chest up in time. We'll take a look back. Here it is. Great block off the table. Nice form in the air. The Yuchenko half landed a little bit short again, not full extension. So you want to control that landing, and that's something she can improve on throughout the length of this season.
That'll be Jade Buford to go last week, a 9.575.
Blind change. Down to a bail to a handstand. Straight uphill. Back to the bar. That's a bonus. Ooh, she almost lost her midsection on that handstand. Got a little soft. But a full and dismount. Solid routine for Jade Buford. She can pull a bigger score than that, but that's a good start, especially for the second meet of the season.
Definitely a great recovery through a little bit of a wobble in the middle of the routine.
And here's that connection. That's where she got her bonus. She almost finished a little bit on top of the bar, but she still was able to get a nice transition up, and that's that full and dismount. So it's one full twist while you're doing the double back. She got nice distance, nice height from the bar. Just didn't land quite in line, so she had to take that one little step.
Lauren Jose was the 2018 Colorado State all-around champion, and also a couple of times was the floor champion in her state as well. Looking to try and keep the consistency going and back on the upswing for Penn.
Front handstand, front tuck. And that has been the most solid vault that we have seen from Penn yet. She had good awareness in the air. She knew when to open up. Landing wasn't quite there yet, but again, that's something you can improve on. Nice block off the table, good form in the air. Hop backwards, she just over-rotated a bit. You want to keep that chest lifted up to avoid that last hop back.
Her 9.425 was the drop last week, so putting that one in nicely is definitely going to help her confidence. And now another first year for Yale. This is Lindsay Chia from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Debuted on the bars last week and had a 9.55.
So a first-year athlete who gets to be in the rotation. She's earned herself that spot. So second collegiate meet for Chia. Has a nice Jaeger. Bail to a handstand down to the low bar. Toe on. She'll get ready for the dismount. She'll do a toe on. Half. That was a beautiful routine for Lindsay Chia. And you see that bail down to the handstand. Not quite at 180 on top of the bar, but just right there. And then the toe on, full tuck, half dismount.
Last week's meet at Bridgeport, Yale were second best in the bars. As that was Caroline Moore on the vault.
A nice Yuchenko full for Caroline Moore. Again, we haven't really seen a single stuck landing yet on the vault. Take a look back at Moore. Nice approach to the table. Legs separated a bit in the air. And she just didn't have that full control in her landing. They will take a step back because she did take a step back before she saluted the judges. You want to find that grounding, zero in on it, and keep your feet firm to the mat.
JC Baldovino last week got a podium spot on the bars where she had a 9.75. And thus far, after 3 good routines for Yale, just trying to keep that momentum going to the back half with Roxanne Trachtenberg and Jessica Wang, who are 2 of the best athletes on this apparatus.
JC Baldovino, again, does not compete the all-around, but the events that she does compete, she has the ability to get one of the biggest scores for the Bulldogs. She's consistent. She's the ECAC Rookie of the Year, the 2018 season. So a lot of expectations for the sophomore.
And also for vault for Penn, it's going to be Sydney Kraz, the freshman from Longmeadow, Mass, a vault state champ in Massachusetts, now up.
Going simultaneously with Baldovino, but another Yuchenko full, and that was a good landing. Big score there for Penn.
Back over to the bars in Baldovino.
That was a gorgeous pike Jaeger. Transition down to the low bar with the bail. And over-rotating on that handstand. She lost, again, the control in her midsection. One little error like that will be counted as a fall. Fall is a 5/10 deduction. So for Yale, you're hoping that this is the only fall that you have on the uneven bar so you can drop that score, unlike JC Baldovino.
Yeah, Firth had the fall last week, and that was at the start of the rotation, so the Bulldogs definitely had to kind of get their minds right at the back half. And another, surrounded by the cheers off to her right, another big score on the vault for Sydney Kraz. It'll be Ava Caravella who will anchor once this is done.
And for Baldovino, that's why the gymnasts take a second to regroup themselves, get off, build their momentum back up, and a good, solid finish for JC Baldovino. Way to get back up there, stick her landing. She has to be proud of that. Nearly a third stick now for Penn on vault. And you'll see she gets, well, out of your screen, the entire team charging down to the end of the vault table to congratulate her. And here's Baldovino, the mistake. See, she just over-rotated. She lost the midsection core. Just out of line, her legs went over and she had to count that as a fall. There was no saving it, but a solid finish. That is a stuck landing, the definition of it. You don't get any points if you stand up and you draw your heels together. So good, strong finish by Baldovino, unfortunately with the fall in the middle, though.
Over Penn last year, they averaged on the vault of 47.586. They're going to be well above that here today as they put it to the floor 5 of their 6 routines. Now, pressure certainly on here for Roxanne Trachtenberg and also Jessica Wang. They both have to hit here in this situation, so Yale doesn't have to count that fall.
And Trachtenberg has a very difficult same bar release mood and a ginger, which we'll see in just a moment on the high bar. And that's really her big skill in this routine. She'll get started jumping right up to the high bar. Kip cast handstand. Full turn. Here's that ginger. Nice form. Kept her legs together. Almost lost that handstand as well. Bail to a handstand down to the low bar. Nice, solid routine. Very smooth. Again, you look for that smoothness in a bar routine. Double lay dismount. Pike down on the second layout. You want to keep the hips open all the way till the end. So a slight deduction on that dismount. Feet separated just a bit as well, but that's the way you want to finish off.
And Allison, the one thing I've noticed here from Yale on this bars routine is if you take a look back, a lot of over-rotating on the high bar.
Yeah, and that just comes again with some of those nerves and controlling them because they've done handstands on top of the bars and they have done these routines countless of times. You just have to control that extra adrenaline that you're playing with. You might just, you know, give yourself a little too much muscle, a little too much momentum, casting up to the handstand, that you want to just keep it controlled the entire time. Keep your core in line and keep your armpits open.
So Jessica Wang, who set the Yale season high in the bars last year with a 9.9, will compete now. And again, it's important here for her to make sure that she hits so Yale doesn't have to count the fall from JC Baldovino. Wang last year was a 3-time ECAC Specialist of the Week and also was an NCAA Regionals Bars and Beam qualifier. So this is an athlete who you mentioned earlier, an elite athlete, but someone that's really at a high caliber of eloquence and degree of difficulty as well.
And she has a career high of a 9.9 on this event, up there with the best of the best at the Division I level. And that's what you want from your anchor. Your anchor, your 6th spot in rotation is the one that's like the showstopper routine. That's the one where you want to dare the judges to give you a 10.0. You want to go out there, you want to build momentum after the lead off from the set 2 to 5, and then that 6th position spot in the lineup, really the most important. You want to finish strong, and again, you want to dare for that 10.0.
Well, they're certainly taking a long time to go through the score of Roxanne Trachtenberg. We'll tell you this, after Wang's routine, Kendall Toy will have an exhibition for Yale. In Penn, their parallel bars exhibition is Natalie Borden, who had the extra attempt, as Allison said, the one that doesn't count so much, but it gives an athlete an opportunity to compete in a meet situation.
And you get to test your routine out with the judges and see how they're going to score you, because especially on an event like beam and floor, you might want to change around some of your dancing, distribute the elements a little bit differently, because they might say that your elements aren't distributed evenly, and that will be a deduction. So there are a bunch of different things that you're looking for in an exhibition. You're also, getting to perform in front of a live audience, which is very different than at practice. So you get to learn a lot from the exhibitions.
Well, again, as you see,
this is frustrating for Jessica Wang, that playing the waiting game is like the worst thing to do for a gymnast. You get in your head. All you want to do is get up there and do your routine, especially when you're already mentally ready for it. And then they say, hey, hold up, we got to check these scores out. Give us another minute. You really can get in your head about
5
that.
minutes. Certainly Wang has probably been standing there for about 3 times. And you talked about the frustration of just waiting. How many times you can mentally reset, then reset, then reset. And you almost think right now, if you are Wang, you better off probably just stepping off. And that's, for her, probably the best thing going. Just wait for your times called, then get yourself ready to go.
Exactly. You want to shake it off. You don't want to stay mentally zeroed in the entire length of the weight, because if you do that, you'll just drive yourself crazy and you might lose mental focus as soon as your routine starts. So just shaking it off. You see Wang there laughing with her captain, Kiara Elaine. And now she's getting ready and she'll salute to her judges. And we will get set for the anchor on bars for the Bulldogs. So to a blind half turn to a Jaeger. Nice catch way above the bar. You want to see the height on those same bar releases. Free hip to handstand. Bail to a handstand down the low bar. Slight feet separation. Not sure if the judges will see that. But from our angle, we were able to. Straddle up handstand. Some giants to get ready for her full and dismount. Stuck landing. Check that out. What a great routine from Jessica Wang to finish off strong on the uneven bars for the Bulldogs.
Understandable the high emotions for Yale, covering up the miss from Baldovino a few routines ago.
Yeah, they needed this stick from Wang. Look at her height. Full height, nice form. She zeroed in on that landing. She used everything she could to absorb her foot into the mat, and she was able to stick it. And that's the last thing the judges see. So it is one of the most important on all 4 events to get that stick, because it's the last thing in the judges' minds as they're going back through the routine and looking for a final score.
So we will have an exhibition here for Yale on the bars. It's going to be Kendall Toy, the first year also from the state of Texas, who will have an opportunity to perform in front of the John J. Lee Amphitheater crowd. But again, after that big hit coming at the end from Jessica Wang, it's going to ease the tension a little bit for Yale. That was their first miss. They went clean through on the vault without missing a beat. We talked about it earlier, trying to go 24 of 24. The fall won't hurt them, but that's kind of the goal that they missed on the day.
Yeah, you never want to have a fall or have to drop a score with a fall in it. You always want that consistency. You want to pick from the top 5 best scores, and you want all of them to be just neck and neck with each other. And we'll see how Toy is able to handle this exhibition routine. She did an exhibition as well at Bridgeport. Blind half turn, straddle Jaeger. That's what exhibitions are for. You get to get all the nerves out. She was just slightly on top of the bar, which means that she just released a little too early on that straddle Jaeger. So she'll pick up where she left off. And you see assistant head coach Jason Collins, new assistant coach for Yale. We'll talk about more about him later. Good bail to handstand, though, down to the low bar. You just want to see her work through this routine. Again, it's an exhibition. It's a chance to get out those competition nerves. Nice full turn on top of the bar, double back dismount, and that's a bonus, connecting the full turn to the double back. You just want to make sure that she's okay from that fall. Looks like she landed a little weird maybe on her shins, but she shook it off and she completed that routine, and that's what you want to see, the strong mental game.
Well, that will do it here for the second rotation of 4. Penn bouncing back after very good bars to have an even better vault. And then for Yale, they're able to fight through a fall and finish off strongly. It'll be Yale to the beam, Penn to the floor when we come back. You're watching NCAA Women's College Gymnastics on ESPN+. Rotation number 3 a few moments away here from New Haven, Connecticut, as Yale and Penn deadlock pretty much through the most part. Penn, this is definitely an improvement from where they were a week ago. They had improved their bar score by over a full point, and they improved their vault score by 750 percentage points, I should say. So they're well above where they were right now. Yale, a slight drop in the bars, but overall, they're still pretty happy with their advantage.
Slight drop in the bars, but again, you did see that consistency. The unfortunate one fall occurred, but besides that, they looked solid on bars. They looked confident, and they are still continuing on that path of having to count 24 for 24, and some of the big vaults for Penn that helped them build on that score for last season. 3 Yuchenko fulls in a row to finish off their rotation. 1, 2, all 3 of them nearly stuck. And on bars for Yale, a lot of difficult release moves. A lot of good movement, nice dismounts, and that was the one that did it for the Bulldogs, giving Jessica Wang the highest score of the meet actually so far with a 9.850. And she was well deserved of that score.
Yeah, not too far off of her career high at a 9.9. And now we hit this part of the rotation. The beam was a big plus for both teams last week, but it was the floor, especially for Penn. And we're going to focus on them first. They had a rough go of it last week, a 47.075. That was their lowest team floor score since all the way back in the 2013 season. Back in early February, they dropped a 46.85 at Ball State. This is probably the one apparatus out of it all that you want to go 6 for 6 and really start to believe in yourself.
For Penn, if you can go 6 for 6, that is already a vast improvement from their first meet. That is what Coach Ciraldi for the Quakers is looking for from his athletes today. What the most important thing for the Quakers is to keep up that endurance. As soon as you get tired out on floor, and this happens early on every season, a lot of teams are battling that endurance. You are going to make those mistakes. You're going to get just a little under-rotated or over-rotated where you're just not controlling your energy properly. So you want to see from Penn control of energy and just the belief that they can hit all 6 routines.
And the beam for Yale was very kind of them down in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where they won the beam in that 4-team meet, including Big Ten Rutgers were there as well. So head coach Barbara Tonry had to be pleased with the 48.6, including an impressive performance each from Buford and Baldovino, who both had a 9.775.
A strong beam performance, as you mentioned, in that first meet for the Bulldogs. And this was a team who last year, that wasn't their strongest event. That was the event that they focused on the most during practice for that 2018 season. They had a lot of missed opportunities last year where they had 2 to 3 athletes falling off during a meet at one time. But they have made vast improvements on this apparatus, and they look confident again today. They want to hit 6 for 6.
Last year, as you mentioned, the struggles for Yale in the beam release, working the most to be consistent. 48.198 was their average score. They did hit a 49 plus in the season. It will be Charlotte Cooperman to get us underway.
Charlotte Cooperman last year battling a hand injury, so she would do just beam with no hands, so a no hands beam routine. I talked to her just yesterday at their practice, and she was saying, now my beam routine is where I wanted it to be last year. A little cat leap to a front aerial, balance check, able to grip onto the beam with her toes and stay on. Back handspring layout, step out, solid. Nice lifted chest. And on the beam, they do have a new deduction called a concentration deduction. So if you stand still for longer than 2 seconds, so 1 gymnastics, 2 gymnastics, it is a 1/10 of a deduction. Anything over 2 seconds, 2/10 of a deduction. That was a good jump flight series. And you have to work the entire length of the beam. You have to work at different levels, so from standing to squatting to sitting. That is all taken into consideration. Nice full turn, little balance check again with the dropped right shoulder for Cooperman, but looking solid. She'll finish with a 1.5 dismount.
And meanwhile, on the floor, Morgan Hunker got her routine started at a 9.55 last weekend.
The Rudy to a back layout. And she'll dance out of that. Again, on the floor, it's 1 minute and 30 seconds of constant movement. You're dancing, you're tumbling. It's that endurance factor that you have to keep up. She prepares for her next pass. Good landing, chest lifted. She had enough height, enough energy to pull that one through. And to be on beat, to again work the entire length of the floor, all 4 corners, is included in the final score. And you want to see some personality on floor. That's the most fun event to compete for gymnasts typically, because they get to show their artistry, they get to show their power and their strength. We'll set up for the final 1.5. Final flight series for Penn on floor.
So a good start for the Quakers on the floor. That's Morgan Hunker with the routine. And we'll go back over to the beam now as Kiara Elaine will be set to go here. And Yale, again, getting off to a good start with Cooperman. Elaine last weekend was part of the lowest, capped at a 9.675. And this is an athlete who can come up with a big number on the beam if she wants, at a season high of 9.725 last year.
Allie Mel, so the lone senior captain for the Bulldogs. She has such a fun personality, and here's her back handspring. Step out, layout, step out. Nice save. Once you get through that first big series, you feel like it's a home stretch from there. Little side aerial, another balance check. Just getting out those nerves. Again, early on in the season, you'll see a lot of balance checks on beam, but as long as you can get through without a fall, it's a pretty good day on beam. And she'll dance through. You have to work forwards, sidewards, and backwards on the beam, so all three directions as well. Full turn, sometimes the silent killer on beam, but she can handle it well. A beat jump. Split full. And she'll have just her dismount left as she works her way to the back of the beam. And she'll do a front full dismount. Nice duck landing, chest lifted proud. Solid routine for the senior.
So Yale off to a good start on the beam, and the freshman Sydney Craze to go. Actually did not compete on this apparatus last week and only competed on the vault, so this is her first collegiate appearance on the floor.
That collegiate debut, what a special moment. Especially to get your debut on floor at a big Ivy League meet. See how she can handle the pressure. Double pike. Such good height, good lift off the floor. Also in these jumps, you're looking for the 180 degrees with the legs. The judges will be considering that in the final score. Dancing her way into the corner, getting ready for her second tumbling pass. So a front layout, front full. Handled well by the freshman.
Meanwhile, the entirety of the Penn team dancing along to the routine as well.
And that's what you want to see. Every single one of your teammates knows your routine from start to finish. And I'll tell you more about how the Bulldogs handle that in a Friday practice when they move over to floor. And the freshman setting up for her final pass. Double back. Stuck landing. That right foot might have just gone out of bounds. We'll have to see if they count that as an out of bounds. If your foot is on the line, it is in. If it's over, it's out.
Meanwhile, Emma Firmstone already underway in her beam routine, the junior out of Pennsylvania. The best last year, 9.85, which is the third best in the entire season for Yale.
And she won't start from a 10.0 start value. Back handspring, step out, layout, step out. There she goes. She fixed that. Before she only did her back handspring step out. Switch leap. Straddle, 3/4 turn. Lost her balance, lost her upright position. Frustrating fall there for Firmstone, so she'll have to shake it out, shake it off, and just continue on the routine.
Firmstone last week in a 9.675 at this number 3 spot for Yale, but now the pressure is going to be on Buford, Wang, and Baldovino to pick up the pace.
Back 1.5. Solid finish to her routine. The unfortunate fall in the middle. And that was off her straddle 3/4 turn. You land sideways on the beam, and it's difficult to find that landing and to keep focused, to keep your body in line sideways on the beam. It's very difficult to do, and I've seen her land that multiple times in practice, so she's capable of doing so.
Nicole Swerbalis fell on the vault to begin this meet, begin the second rotation for Penn at a 9.0, but looking for a little personal redemption here on this one. And Swerbalis last week also had a fall on the floor at a 9.325, so boy, would it kind of be the one to light the fire within herself if she can get a clean routine here.
And in her sophomore season, she really was outstanding on the floor exercise at the USAG individuals. She got 4th place overall in the floor exercise, so she can have a very strong floor routine. As a senior, you enjoy every single moment on the floor.
Also, meanwhile, for Yale as well, Jade Buford will be going in a moment as well. So Allison talked earlier about the long wait. It's got to be so tough for an athlete just to fight through, but Swerbalis now underway.
That's where that mental game comes in. Keep your mind tight when you're playing that waiting game. Don't let it get to you. Just keep your mind where it needs to be. There's Swerbalis. Big double pike, leg separation. On the floor exercise, they also have that concentration deduction now.
Yeah, you talked about it earlier, and it was funny that you said 1 gymnastics, 2 gymnastics. What do you have against, say, in the state of Mississippi? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
Well, that's what they have in the NCAA women's gymnastics rule book. You count 1 gymnastics, 2 gymnastics. Good second tumbling pass for Swerbalis. A switch side to showing some personality now, again, working all the different levels on her floor routine.
Meanwhile, Jade Buford going strong here on the beam and for her dismount. That was a hit for Buford. Might have a chance to take a look back at that routine in just a moment.
Swerbalis gets ready to finish up on floor. The big double back. Chest a little low on that landing. She took a couple steps back. All she had to do was get just a little more rotation in the air, finish with her chest lifted, and she would have had that stuck landing.
So here are some of the highlights from Buford. This is a good bounce back routine for Yale.
Side aerial, side.
But overall, no doubt that's going to be one that's going to help her team get going here.
Here's her dismount. Front 1.5.
You can see the emotion. Jessica Wang in the corner of your picture there, the first to go over and congratulate her. And you know, she knows, again, as a senior, that these are the important routines. If you have someone fall, especially firm stone, someone who is consistent on the beam, you know, have the next person pick them up. It's just all about that mentality. Is now an opportunity for Wang to get going here. And Jessica Wang is another impressive athlete on the beam. Had a high of a 9.875 last year and had 3 bar titles, including winning both Ivy Classics and the ECAC Championships.
And this is how good Yale was at their first meet of the season on beam. Wang got a 9.625, and that was the dropped score. So Wang wants her score to count today. She mounts the beam with a straddle on, pushes straight up to standing. Works her way again. Those dance elements so important as well on the beam. Front aerial, balance check, small step forward. She's able to reel it back in and settle down those nerves. Handspring layout, step out. Perfectly executed. Full turn, a little over rotated. You want to finish with your chest square to the beam on a full turn. But nice toe point, nice lines. Beautiful split jump. Side quarter. Again, working through this routine, you want beam to look effortless. As well as bars, you shouldn't see an athlete looking like they're working too hard ever. You want it to look very effortless and artistic. Ryan getting set for the dismount. Back 1.5.
Good routine there from Wang. Already 2 hits after the miss from Firmstone, and this is Caroline Moore already in the midst of her floor routine.
As we mentioned, the 3-year captain, the emotional leader really for Penn. Talking to their head coach, John Ciraldi, said that, again, captains based on emotion, not so much seniority, and Caroline Moore has that personality that knows how to get the rest of her team fired up. Front 1.5, so that's the Rudy. She finished with a little bit of personality there at the end. Looks like she had a lot of fun with that routine.
Yeah, that she did, and that's 4 for 4 for Penn. Remember, they had to count multiple falls on the floor last week, so, similar to where they were in the bars. They're getting hits, still not where they want to be, but at the same time, it's cleaner, as now the anchor here for Yale on the beam, that would be J.C. Baldovino.
They also just flashed Wang score 9.525. So a little bit lower than last meet. Baldovino. The layout, step out. Backhand spring, step out, layout, step out. Again, another little balance check. Yale not looking as sharp on the beam as they did that first meet. Switch ring, beat jump. Solid jump series. Nice connection again for the bonus. Baldovino is a straight performer on beam. She does a great job at keeping your attention. She has beautiful movements. They're sharp, they're crisp, they're elegant. I just love how she works the beam.
Last year, she posted the Yale season high of a 9.925 and trying to fight through this routine.
Front aerial, solid. Normally she'll connect that to a wolf jump. Looks like she might have left out that connection. And her dismount will be a gainer full. Cat jump, gainer full. So she built her connection, she changed it up. She missed that wolf jump connected to her front aerial. So instead she had the cat leap to a gainer full dismount. That was a good routine for Baldovino.
Certainly for Yale, that wasn't their best beam team, but at the same time, they are able to cover up the fall for Firmstone.
Some of the highlights. There's that front aerial. See how she just opened up her hips. She drew that front foot in. And the cat leap to a gainer full dismount, duck landing, drew her heels together before the salute. Good execution.
Jordan Menino now on the floor for Penn. Co-team high last week on the floor, 9.675. But again, when they had to count 2 falls, 3 falls in total, she's been dancing on the side for quite a long time as they're having a long look at Caroline Moore's routine. But now she's been given the green flag to go, and it'll be Menino, a sophomore performer from Manhasset, New York.
You want to see Menino keep up the endurance, keep up the strong showing for Penn on floor. Her teammates very engaged. First flight series. Looks like her toe might have gone just over the line. Musicality also very important on floor. A good distribution of elements where you put your tumbling passes in the routine. Front 1.5. She'll dance out of it, show some personality here as well. You always like to see that. You want to see them having fun. You want to see the smiles on floor. It's just more enjoyable to watch. It gets the judges just a bit more engaged as well. Setting up for the final tumbling pass. Nice landing. Not stuck, but just very close. Another hit routine for Penn, JJ.
It's not stuck, but it's good enough. And you've always been a big believer in body language, Allison, as we take a look through the highlights of her tumbling passes. But this Penn team, they're enjoying today's meet. A lot of smiles, a lot of good energy. This is really night and day from last week down in Maryland.
Yeah, they just look more confident. They look like they know what they're doing out there. They look like they might have gotten those first meet jitters just out of the way. Again, those cobwebs dusted off, and they're showing it today. They have improved on every single event, and that is all you can ask as a head coach this early on in the season.
I mean, this is a team last year on the floor where they average a 48.632. They had a high of 49.250, which is one of the best in program history. Similar to Yale, where they hit a lot of team and personal records. Penn also got there as well, as there's going to be one more performer in the rotation for Penn. That'll be Ava Caravella, But Penn last year also made it to the USA Gymnastics Collegiate National Championships as a team for the first time in a few years. So they're looking to build back on that, get to that performance and that competition as a team again. You know, today is definitely a good building block.
And they have had some shoes to fill. They lost a couple of their top athletes, so they're trying to fill those shoes. They're trying to get their freshmen involved in the lineup, in the rotation. And, you know, to just learn how to compete at the collegiate level, it's very different competing in college than on your own as an individual in the level 10 or level 9 environment. So here with the collegiate level, you're really competing as a team. You're cheering each other on. There's just a lot more camaraderie in it.
Caravella ankled the vault, had a 9-7.
Big double pike, chest low on the landing. That's why she had to take that small step forward. Just a little under rotated.
And Caravella building off of a good first meet last week of the season. 9.725 in the vault, 9.675 on the floor.
Wolf jump to straddle half. And on the jumps, they're looking for tight form in the air. They're looking, if you're in a straddle or elite position, that you're over that 180 degree. A little short almost on that second pass, but she was able to pull it out. You see she's right on the music, right on cue. And then the floor routine, you don't want to see any stoppage. Double back, landed short, almost a little short as well as she did on her double pike. But still able to keep her feet underneath her and finish off with the routine without a fall.
Yeah, overall for Penn, this is a very, very good floor for them. They'll count all 5 as hits on the scores.
Yeah, solid routine, just a little bit short on all 3 passes. Just a little more rotation needed on each one, and she would have had a much better landing on all 3. This one just a little short. See, she doesn't get fully around in that second rotation on her double back, chest a little low at the end. But again, Penn has a lot to be proud of so far in this meet.
Yeah, you see Coach John Ciraldi there bringing his team together. Thus far, 3 events, 3 check marks, and we're getting pretty tight here in this one through 3 events. It was Penn that won the meet last year, 191.475 to 191.9 to 191.475. So let's see what rotation 4 brings to us. It'll be Yale to the floor, Penn to the beam. Back in a moment here from New Haven, Connecticut. 3 rotations in the book, 1 to go, and it's the home favorite, the floor for Yale, Penn to the beam, as it's a rather close race thus far. Yale just a slight edge right now, 144.85 to Penn, 144.675. And Allison, it was a very close meet between these 2 teams a year ago right here at the John J. Lee Amphitheater. It was, however, Penn that came away with the victory, and it was these back-end rotations that really helped them, including a very impressive beam at a 48.7 or 5.75.
Very similar in this meet today as well. Very close back and forth between the 2 programs. There is just about a 2/10, a little less than a 2/10 differential right now between the Bulldogs lead and the Penn Quakers. They are catching up, and it will all come down to this last rotation. If Penn can put up another big team score on balance beam, they have an opportunity to try to knock the Bulldogs off. The Bulldogs will need to hit 5 for 5, hopefully 6 for 6 as well, on the floor exercise to maintain their lead.
The scorers from the last rotation for Yale, they did have to count a couple of lower end scores. Jessica Wang with a 9.525 and Kiara Elaine with a 9.575 for Yale. The high score is Jade Buford's 9.775, and despite Ava Caravella not having the cleanest routines, it was to the floor, but a 9.575. Jordan Menino with a monster 9.8 for her, and for that is just slightly off her career high of a 9.825. Nonetheless, for Penn, they're able to make up some ground, and more importantly for the Quakers, they've improved on every event thus far by over 750, points, or excuse me, 0.75 per event.
Yeah, that's an incredible improvement from their first meet, and Yale will get things started now on the floor exercise with Emma Firmstone. She was the lead off in their first meet at Bridgeport. They ended up having to drop her score. But she'll start off with a strong double pike, good position, and I love that finish. Always feel like you should get some extra points for a stick.
And no doubt for Firmstone, after she fell on the beam in the last rotation, get that first pass out of the way. It's a hit, and now play to the crowd.
Exactly. You want to shake off that fall on beam, put it behind you, move on here on floor. Good job there. That was a punch front full to a front pike. 2 solid passes so far for Firmstone. Just a career high, 9.875 last season on this event. So the ability to pull a big score for the Bulldogs, and Barbara Tonnery putting her in that leadoff position again. She believes in her consistency, in her mental strength to pull out a big score.
Meanwhile, on the beam for Penn, as this going on, we'll keep in touch on it. Lauren Jost getting off to a good start. But this is the last pass coming up for Firmstone.
And here she'll do a 1.5 split jump, so a Rudy to a split jump. Want to keep that form in the air. Beautiful control. And a lot of the times you'll see athletes use a split jump or add a jump off a tumbling sequence just to help maintain that landing. If you have a little bit of extra energy, you can get that jump in, build a bonus connection as well there, and Firmstone handled it well.
Jost a 9.575 last week. Thus far, so good. Trying to lead off the beam nicely for the Quakers. But of course, as I say that, she falls.
Just off her equilibrium there. You can't let your mind go soft. You have to control it the entire length of your 1-minute 30-second beam routine. Again, they're only standing on 4 inches of beam underneath.
It's unfortunate because up to that point, Jost was really strong. Toes were pointed, hitting all of her marks, but unfortunately for her, it's so tough to have the lead off with the fall early on.
And the lead-off position is most important on the balance beam out of all 4 events. That was her back handspring step-out layout, step-out first flight series on the beam, and then a good full front full dismount. Small hop back. An unfortunate fall in the middle. It's not what you want from your lead-off, and your lead-off, again, you're looking for the athlete who has the strong mind, is consistent, and is confident in their abilities.
Next up for Yale will be Charlotte Cooperman going to the floor, as Cooperman last week with a very solid 9.7.
And she has a really fun first pass. It builds a lot of momentum off the bat. It looks like it just continues and continues. And here it is. She's going to set the pace. Front tuck, step out, go back 2.5. Full rotation, great job. A small step out, but you can see the smile on her face. She is proud that she nailed that first tumbling pass. Again, you'll get to see some of her personality. Good jump series connected. And you like to see Cooperman feel confident on all of her events. Again, not competing this event last year with that hand injury. She had to get surgery on. Strong double pike. And right now, you see the confidence on floor. This is what Barbara Tonnery, head coach for the Bulldogs, wants to see to keep her team in the lead. Just 1 pass left for Cooperman. It'll be a front handspring to a Rudy. So the front handspring, front 1.5. Perfect rotation. She knew exactly when to open up. She was aware of her body positioning, and that was a strong finish. Good routine for Charlotte Cooperman.
Yale 2 for 2 on the floor. Natalie Borden has not competed on this apparatus ever in her collegiate career. Only competed once last year. That was in the final meet of the U.S. Gymnastics Collegiate Championships. That was on bars.
Good back walkover. She looks confident from where we have picked up in this routine.
So far, it's been a solid routine for Borden, just the dismount left.
And Penn needs all hits here. That was a gainer pike off the end of the beam, and she gets a big congratulations from her teammates. A lot of smiles in that huddle. Good energy from Penn. Here's her side aerial, connected straight into a round off. And then her dismount, gainer pike off the end, stuck landing, heels together for the salute to the judges. Nice execution. And Kiara Alliane, I'm telling you right now, she has so much fun on the floor routine, so much personality, and she has been waiting for her senior year. She's been thinking about what music she wants. She'll get things started with a big double back. You want to see the tuck formation a little bit tighter, but good execution. She has a combination of some of her freshman music, as well as some Beyonce in here. She put a lot of thought again into this routine. This is her favorite rotation to compete. She loves the floor exercise, and her teammates get really involved. You can just tell how much she loves it, and just wait till the middle of her routine.
Aline last year, third best on the floor at a 9.85, and you can understand why she loves this apparatus so much. Just gets to play to the crowd.
Oh yeah, and she loves it. There's some unique elements in it as well. She keeps it moving the entire time. It almost looks effortless also on all of her tumbling passes. There's Elaine going for her second pass. Double pike. Excuse me, third pass. And see that personality there at the end, just blowing a kiss over to the judges. And that should score high.
Darcy Matsuda, sophomore from California, was a second-team All-American on the beam last year and a second-team ECAC. And after a good routine from Natalie Borden to make up for the fall of Lauren Jost, trying to, again, keep that confidence and that rhythm going.
On that backhand swing, step out, layout, step out, she had a little bit too much momentum. She had to pull up that front foot and step it back down, but she was able to control it. Side aerial to a back full.
Now see, it's interesting. She fell off the side of the mat there, and Allison, it's not a fall, but that's got to be a pretty big deduction.
Yeah, that'll be about 3/10 of a deduction, JJ. You have to stay in line with the end of the beam when you're doing a dismount off the end. She just lost her equilibrium again off the end of the beam. You want to keep your body all in one line, and take a look back at one of those big passes from Alain just a second ago. There it is, double back, chest low, a little bit on that landing. She can land with it a little higher than that.
As you get a look here, Rebecca Chong, fourth up on the floor for Yale.
That's a double Arabian. Solid execution. She had enough height. She knew exactly where she was in the rotation, and she opened up just perfectly timed. Front layout, front half. And she dances out of it.
And Allison, you're seeing that so much more now, the leap out of the tumbling pass to make sure that you get that stick. That was something implemented at the international level, but now it's becoming more apparent here at the college level.
Yeah, especially if you have enough energy at the end of a tumbling pass to pull out a jump. Sometimes you don't have enough energy and you're not able to do that, but if you do and you're able to get the jump out of it, you get the connection, and you have a better chance at sticking the landing. It'll cover up any mistakes you might make as well. You see Chong having some fun. Last pass, double back. She traveled pretty far on that double back. On double back, you don't necessarily want to see distance. You want to see height and rotation. So just a little elongated in that double back pass.
And nonetheless, a good routine for Rebecca Chong as Yale now 4 of 4. Nicole Swarbalis off to a good start here for Penn on the beam.
It'll take a lot from Penn now to try to climb ahead, especially with some solid routines from the Bulldogs on the floor exercise. Side aerial, back full.
Well, overall for Swarbalis, that is a good routine for her. Remember, she fell on the vault to begin this meet, and now picking it up.
The split jump not quite at 180, but she was able to connect it to a solid back tuck. And cat leap to a side aerial to her full dismount. 3 connections. Good finish.
So only 2 competitors left on each apparatus for Yale. Alyssa Firth and then the anchor, Jade Buford. Penn will have Natalie Yang and Caroline Moore to counter. Again, Penn still trying to negate a fall at the beginning from Jost. As Firth thus far.
Alyssa Firth, a sophomore. She had to work her way into the lineup last season on floor. She gets a lot of height. She has a lot of personality. She does a beautiful job on the floor exercise. Career high of a 9.825 last season in February. 9.725 earlier this year in that lone meet at Bridgeport.
And Firth having a okay meet thus far. 9.625 in the vault is the anchor and was the leadoff on bars, a 9.4. Her score did have to count, though, with the fall to J.C. Baldovino.
From full from Pike. And she also has a lot of fun with this routine. Good wolf jump. But yeah, JJ, I had teased it earlier, but every single Friday, the Yale Bulldogs head coach, Barbara Tonnery, gets to pick a random name, and they have to go dance through someone else's routine, and they don't know whose routine it is. She just puts the music on, and you have to dance through their routine. That kind of just tests how much you paid attention, and it's a lot of fun for the girls to watch someone else dance through their routine. It's a good laugh for everyone, and it's a really big team building thing that the Bulldogs have been doing for now multiple years. As Alyssa Firth stays dominant on the floor. Another hit routine for Yale.
I want to touch back on that in a moment, but Natalie Yang finishing up on the beam, trying to make it 4 straight here for Penn.
Front aerial, full control there. Working sidewards on the beam. Gets that full out turn element in. Again, sometimes the silent killer on beam, you just have to hold your breath. One of the easier movements, but still very difficult if you're off an inch. The side aerial to a full.
Good finish there for Natalie Yang as you see some of the earlier moments of this routine.
Back handspring, step out, layout, step out. Good composure. You see the height she got as well in that flight series. Here's that back full dismount.
And this is the anchor for Yale on floor, Jade Buford. I love that, by the way, that Coach Tonnery has someone else go through an entire routine of another teammate, brings that unity, brings that team
so
bonding
fun
together. And, oh, by the way, it goes for some good banter after practice, whoever doesn't live up to the standards of that routine.
And at this past Friday's practice, she actually had Jade Buford walk through Carly Israel's routine, and Carly was just cracking up. It was very funny to watch as Jade starts out with a big double pike. Nice height, good form, small step. You want to control those landings at least midway through the season. Early on in the season, you're just trying to, again, get through a routine, keep the endurance up, and try to hit your tumbling passes.
Yale already 5 of 5 for the floor, so this can only just add to their day.
They'll do a full front layout. Slight leg separation, not quite a stick either.
Meanwhile, on the beam, Caroline Moore just fell, so now Penn's going to have to count a fall here.
Fortunate for the Quakers, and that's not what you want to see after they've been so solid on all 3 other apparatus until now. But Jade just dancing her way through this last floor routine as the anchor. You'll see her personality come out as well. Last was a 1.5, so Rudy, she's supposed to connect that to a split jump where she can. She was practicing that, but chose to leave it out this time. And she'll silence the audience to finish up that routine.
Quiet the haters over there. I believe the haters are the judges in her opinion as we bring it back to Moore, who fell, I believe it was on her 2nd pass through. So unfortunate now with Lauren Jose and Moore both having a fall, and as Allison mentioned, pretty much up until a late fall on the floor. That was from Ava Caravella. It's been pretty good up to that standard. But overall, I think as that routine is done, we'll look at some of the earlier highlights. It is much better here from the Quakers on this day.
And they were counting on a big routine here by Carolyn Moore. One-handed back layout, step out, back walkover, step out to a back layout, step out. That's where she lost lost herself, but then she got a beautiful gainer full dismount off the side of the beam, and you are counting again on your 3-year captain, Caroline Moore, to pull up a big score as your anchor on the balance beam. Unfortunate fall for Penn.
One thing that you can say is a positive, Allison, for Penn. From 7 falls last week, with a number of those being kept, to only 4 and only have to keep 1 fall. So, again, you look at the small things, small details. You're going to be happy with some of the positives. Obviously, for Coach John Ciraldi, there's going to be other things to build on, as we're going to have one more routine. It's going to be an exhibition for Rose Hoffman, who will have this last routine. But all routines are final now. One would have to think unofficially Yale has got this meet in the win column. However, for Penn, they want to end the day on a high and take the trip down to Philadelphia feeling pretty good about themselves.
And they have a lot to feel good about, JJ. A big improvement on bars, on floor, and on vault for the Quakers. And a chance here for Hoffman to get a score at the collegiate level to see how her routine scores. To work out those jitters that you have, just every gymnast has them early on in the season to work through.
It's ironic enough because last week the beam was so good to Penn after a rough start on bars. They won their meet down in Maryland with a 48-5, but that score unfortunately is going to be just a little bit lower than that.
It's a good day on beam if you are able to stay on. So for a lot of the athletes here today, it has been a good day on beam. A couple little mistakes, but if you can stay on, half the battle's already there.
And the final and the last exhibition here of this meet.
Such a mental event as well on the balance beam. Gainer full off the side. Good dismount, though.
And you always want to make sure that you land it with 2 feet firmly on the ground, and that's going to give you a little smile to take home. And that's going to do it for us. That was the last of the 4 apparatuses, and we're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll have final thoughts and the final scores. We'll be back from New Haven, Connecticut in just a moment. Handsome Dan in the house, congratulating the victorious Yale Bulldogs. A solid day overall for them. And in fact, they equaled their total score from last week, a 193.775, led by Allison Gaskins, a very impressive floor of a 48.925.
4 different athletes for the Bulldogs scoring above a 9.725 on the floor exercise. That just shows you consistency. We mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Yale just needed to hit 24 for 24. They did not have to count a fall. They did a great job as a team to really wrap everything up and give it all they had to perform on floor, and that was how they were able to hold on to the lead, JJ.
The winners for each apparatus: Sydney Krause from Penn with a 9.825 on vault to take the win for Yale. Jessica Wang with a 9.85 on bars. For Penn, Natalie Yang with a 9.825 on the beam. And for Yale, Rebecca Chong with a 9.85. And Yale again, another week, another meet victory. They're going to be back in action not too far away. In fact, this is going to be a pretty fast-paced schedule at home. They're going to be home next Sunday against New Hampshire at 1, the Don Tonnery Invitational on February the 2nd, and then Senior Day against Brown on the 17th of February. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in. For everyone here, alongside my broadcast partner, Allison Gaskins, JJ Duke, signing off. Yale wins this dual meet against Penn. Until next time, goodbye for now.